All routes lead to doom. Beta Build. Slime Prince Glitched Edition by RimuruEdward6. Chapter 5. Jordo Stewart's Paw. It started with laughter. Not just any laughter, his. I was walking the path beside the outer garden, not expecting anything out of the ordinary. Perhaps I was planning to offer Katerina some tea. Perhaps I was looking for her out of habit. Perhaps I was hoping she'd trip over a trowel again and fall into my arms so I could pretend it was fate. But what I found instead was far more unsettling. Rimuru Tempest, laughing, not his usual smug, princely smirk. No, this was something light, real, like she had said something only he could appreciate. And Katerina, my fiancée, the scatterbrained hurricane of sweets and doom paranoia, was sitting in the dirt beside him, glaring, red-faced and flustered. You mean when I was being myself? That's the one. I stopped mid-step, and felt something in my chest twist. It wasn't just the scene itself. I'd seen Katerina surrounded by adoring boys before, I was one of them. It was practically the default state of our lives by now. But this was different. She was blushing, not from tripping, not from embarrassment, not from one of her wild overreactions, but from him. And that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that for once, she wasn't acting like her usual oblivious self. She wasn't running away. She wasn't laughing it off or changing the subject or trying to hand him a cookie to deflect. She was just there, looking at him like she saw him. Like something had shifted. I clenched my jaw. No. No, 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 no. Katerina has somehow, again, managed to attract another love-struck fool. But this time, it wasn't a student or a young noble with a dramatic monologue and a bouquet. This time, it was Rimuru Tempest. Foreign prince. Enigma. Threat. And worse, he's someone who doesn't just fall for her usual chaos. He understands it. And she's acting like a girl in love. I've known Katerina Clays since we were children. I've seen her cry, pout, laugh until she nearly chokes on a muffin, but I have never seen her look at someone the way she just looked at him. Affectionate, vulnerable, open, and now I have a new rival. But this one is dangerous. So I have to do something. The best threats are always polite. That's something I've learned from years of noble diplomacy. You don't confront a rival with raised voices or drawn swords. You smile, you speak softly, and you make it clear, she's mine. So when I saw Katerina in the garden, flushed and flustered in front of Prince Rimuru Tempest, laughing in a way that wasn't her usual chaotic nonsense, but something warmer, something different, I knew what I had to do. I waited until she was gone. Then I found him. He was near the greenhouse, perfectly composed, adjusting his gloves with the kind of idle grace only someone extremely powerful or extremely bored could pull off. Prince Rimuru, I greeted with a smile as polished as my title. He glanced up, golden eyes sharp and unreadable. Prince Jordo. A lovely afternoon. It is, he agreed, voice smooth. Shall we walk? A subtle gesture. No confrontation. No audience. Clever. We walked a few paces, the sound of our boots soft against the stone path. I understand you've been spending time with Lady Katerina, I said lightly, as if commenting on the weather. She has a very unique presence, Rimuru replied, his tone unreadable. It's hard not to notice her. Yes, I said. She does tend to draw people in. He glanced at me. Calm. Composed. I assume you're concerned. I'm merely curious, I said, smiling as pleasantly as possible. She's not the most conventional young lady. Yet she seems to have caught your attention. She's unlike anyone I've ever met, he said simply. A pause. And then he turned to me fully. But I have no intention of interfering with your engagement. My hand twitched slightly at how direct it was, and how casually he said it. She's a friend, he continued. One I admire, certainly, but nothing more. You have no need to worry. I'm not worried, I lied smoothly. He smiled, just a little. Of course. We continued walking. She's more genuine than anyone I've met since arriving in this country, Rimuru said. She doesn't hide behind the usual noble masks. That's rare. And valuable. He glanced at me again, expression calm, but not cold. I'm not here to steal anyone's heart. I'm only here for the year, and then I return to my duties. I knew from the start this was temporary. Another pause. But that doesn't mean I can't form bonds while I'm here. He stopped walking and turned to face me directly. I think friendship is one of the few things that transcends all titles, he said. Even princes need someone who sees them as people. And she deserves to have that, too. I met his gaze, searching for the deception. There wasn't any. That didn't make him less dangerous. It made him worse. Because he wasn't trying to win her. He was just seeing her. Respecting her. And Katerina, for once, seemed to see him right back. Understood, I said, my voice just cool enough to suggest this conversation was not quite finished. He gave me a small bow. Thank you for your time, Prince Jordo. And then, with perfect princely grace, he turned and walked away. Leaving me with a smile still on my face. And a fire slowly building in my chest. Katerina Clay's paw. My hands were still covered in dirt. I probably should have cleaned them by now, but I couldn't bring myself to move. I was sitting on the edge of the garden bed, staring at the little sprouts poking up through the soil, the ones I'd planted with Rimuru just a short while ago. The memory kept looping in my head. She's the most real person I've met in this entire school. Me. He said me. And not in that teasing way nobles sometimes talk, where interesting means embarrassing, and unique means you're doing it wrong. He meant it. And that's what scared me. I'm used to people liking me because I changed their route. Because I didn't act like the villainess I was supposed to be. Because I was nice, or chaotic, or harmless. But Rimuru didn't say any of that. He just saw me and then he said he was leaving. That part still lingered in my chest like a bruise. He wasn't here to win hearts or steal me from anyone. He wasn't part of some secret route or dramatic plot twist. He was just passing through, a noble prince on a diplomatic break from somewhere else. And I wasn't a target. I wasn't a prize. I was just Katerina. And he wanted to know me. Not the villainess. Not the reformed noble girl. Not the chaotic cookie gremlin with a doom flag complex. Just me. I didn't know what to do with that. The mini Katerinas in my head were sitting in a circle, uncharacteristically quiet. Romantic Katerina. So, this is what it feels like when someone really sees you, huh? Serious Katerina. There's no route for this. No plan. No end flag. Farmer Katerina. I liked him. He actually listened when we talked about soil pH. Child Katerina. Will he come back next harvest? I swallowed hard and looked up at the sky. Why did it hurt? It wasn't heartbreak. I didn't even know what this was. It felt more like being understood. And then watching that understanding walk away before you had the chance to ask it to stay. But he hadn't walked away yet. And if there was one thing I knew how to do, it was plant something that could grow. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because of nightmares. Not because of doom flags. Not even because I ate an entire tray of cookies and deeply regretted it at 2 a.m. No, this time, I was just thinking. Thinking about Rimuru. About what he said. About how he saw me. Not as a character, not as a pawn in a scripted path, but as a person. Someone worth knowing. And he hadn't asked anything from me. He wasn't chasing me like the others. He wasn't trying to win me or fix me or change me. He didn't need anything. He just wanted to be there. That was what scared me the most. Because for the first time since I woke up in this world, someone didn't make me feel like I had to be anyone but myself. So I made a decision. Not a plan. Not a backup route. Just a choice. The next morning, I found him where I knew he'd be, by the garden beds, inspecting the new growth like he'd been doing it his whole life. Prince Rimuru, I called out, voice almost too soft. He turned. And then he smiled. That smile. The one that was too good for this world and very, very bad for my heart. Lady Katerina, he said, golden eyes warm. To what do I owe the honor? I stepped closer, fidgeting with my gloves. I was wondering if maybe we could talk again sometime. He raised an eyebrow. About gardening. Or anything, I said quickly. Just as friends. His expression didn't shift right away. Then, slowly, that smile deepened, softer, brighter, real. I'd like that, he said. And somehow, those 3 words felt heavier than any confession. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. He gestured to the sprouts between us. Want to help me name the tomatoes? I laughed, too loud, too relieved. Yes, I said. But only if I get to name one after you. He rolled his eyes, but he was still smiling. And for the first time in a long while, I wasn't thinking about endings. Just beginnings.